Welcome back to the program, Humberly Gonzalez.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. It's been about a year since we talked. I think we're kind of making it a
A
yearly
year
chat.
thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And last year you were actually, it was on your half week off during filming Star Trek Section 31. And at that
Yeah.
time, it had just only been announced a couple weeks before that you were going to be a part of the cast and you guys are filming. But you couldn't say anything at the time. That was all you could say, of course, because hey,
Yep.
that's the way it is. Now the film is out. The film is
Yay.
on Paramount Plus. People are checking it out. Star Trek Section 31. So of course we definitely wanted to talk to you about it. For people who haven't heard about the film, what is it all about?
Well, if you've never seen Star Trek, fear not, because this would be a great first step, I guess. Star Trek Section 31 is a standalone because we really haven't explored this area of the universe, I guess. We're kind of we take the trash out. We're like the CIA to keep harmony. In the universe. So it's kind of great that you meet like this group of misfits that come together, and there is this weapon of mass destruction we're trying to avoid setting off. And so we're trying to recruit Michelle Yeoh's character, Philippa Georgiou, to be a part of us. And that's kind of where the movie takes place, is meeting who is Section 31 and how are we going to save the world? Yeah, casual.
Of
Of
course.
course.
It's what I did last Saturday. It's not
Right?
that big,
Yeah.
easy peasy.
Sure.
Now, of course, not so easy peasy is that your character Mel has to wear some makeup, not the worst in Star Trek's lore, that's for sure.
That's
You, you know,
true.
but what was that experience like? Because obviously, as a Deltan, like it's the traditional, bald cap scenario. You have long hair. I got to imagine that still and blending with
Yeah.
your makeup and everything like that could be a process. What was that like for you to sit down in the chair and get that done every day?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very long process of figuring out what type of prosthetic or how we were going to do it. I don't know if you've ever seen or heard or gotten done a head cast, but it is a thing of nightmares.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I did a head cast, they were trying to prep me for this, but nothing can prepare you for the fact that you're completely covered. You can't hear or see or talk, and there's only two tiny little nose holes that you can breathe out of. And there's one person who's constantly watching to make sure that they don't get covered. It's scary. There's like three layers of goo, and then they do the cast on top, and it dries and it's heavy. Um, Something happens when you're in there where you kind of get this vertigo where you don't know what's up from down. I almost had a panic attack the first time. I had to do some somatic movements with my hands to like simulate my breathing and calm me down, because if your thoughts are not calm, it really can get panicky because you realize that you can't get out. They have to get you out, and there's a process, and you have to wait an hour. So I had to practice a lot of patience. Um, and the first time we did it didn't turn out okay. And the second time didn't turn out okay either. So I did it three times.
Oof.
Three times in that head cast. By the third time, I was dancing around. I was good. I was like, I get it. You know what? I'm resilient. I'm strong. I can do this. I'm actually going to put together a bit of the behind the scenes of the entire process of Mel, and I'll post it on my online because it's really fascinating. I had never done anything like that. And that's just the before. Turns out doing the prosthetic and getting it sent from LA to Toronto, it took a long time, and we didn't have enough time to do the prosthetic. So we ended up going a different venue and actually ended up just using regular bald caps, but we kind of layered them, and then we
Mm.
did cotton. And we used to kind of wrap my head around, but then that was like too bulky. We did a bunch of different camera tests to see what it looked like. The final iteration of it is amazing. I mean, my hair is fully slicked back to the back of my neck. So I have like a little rat tail that sits like between my shoulder blades. It is not pretty, hilariously ugly. And I cannot wait to show that online because people will be like, oh my God. Um, and the team did amazing. I mean, Alex and Monica, it was a full circle moment for us because I worked with them on my very first movie ever, which is In the Woods, which was a horror movie that was filmed in Sudbury, which you can watch on Amazon Prime actually. But that was my first movie I ever did. And they did all of the prosthetics on that with me. I have a bloody death scene. It's great. So that was really cool to kind of meet with them again and have the repertoire and the banter. And it was about 6 hours the first time we did it. I think it got less after like we got used to it, but the very first day on set, I really struggled. Major headache, tension, pressure, posture. My eyes couldn't focus. I have like these giant eyelashes and, the energy of like 6 hours before you hit set. And then I think I posted like on my stories one day, it was like 7:30 a.m. and I wrapped at like 12:30 a.m. That's like a 17, 18-hour day.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that it's an experience. After the first day, I understood the assignment. I understood what I needed to do. If I needed to take some Advil prior, make sure that I'm hydrating, make sure that I'm eating and just supporting myself because prosthetics is no joke. I just kept thinking
Yeah,
of
no.
Jim Carrey doing like The Grinch, and I remember seeing and reading like stories about it, and it was like a nightmare for him. It was really, really hard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No,
At least
I had you are braver than I am and better than I am because I did only a face mask back in school and I passed out. I literally they put it on and put it on. It
Oh
was
my
on for
God.
about I don't know, maybe 10 minutes and
Yeah,
all of a sudden I felt heat emanating
yeah.
across my face as it was drying. And then yeah, I guess I panicked or whatever. I just passed
Yeah,
right.
your thoughts get the
Yeah.
best of you. You start
Yep.
thinking, what if I'm trapped? What if I'm not okay? Am I not safe? And then instantly panic attack.
Yeah. So like what you're describing, the whole, like even the back, I just had the
An
face, right? Like,
entire, like
no.
it was down to my shoulders and it's heavy. I remember one of the times we took it off, the pressure of it, the suction
Oh,
gave me an entire bruise on my nose. It was black for like a week and a half or 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, thank God I'm not shooting anything else. And I'm just getting to do this because it looked like I got punched in the face.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just also want to take this moment to say if we get 250 more people at patreon.com/geek hard, we will do a full head and shoulder cast of Mr.
Yes,
Green.
do it.
no,
He's going to
no.
face his fears. It's going to be
Although,
great.
although I may rewatch the video because watching you do like what you were saying with the hand movements to kind of like keep the breathing going, maybe that would have helped me back then. I don't know, but
You have to meditate. You really do. And that's something that came to me in the moment because these movements, you use in like somatic relaxation and meditation, it just simulates the breathing. It
okay.
gives your brain something to focus on other than, am I gonna asphyxiate to death? Which, it's, a
Your
little
your
bit of that.
brain is going no, but
Yeah.
there's that little like the logical part of your brain says no, but you're like I that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it would no.
Makes you realize that fear really is in the mind. You create it. Nothing
Yeah,
has changed from before or after I was doing this. It's the thoughts that creep in, and physiologically, your fear will
yeah.
physically start to make you feel things. It was definitely a test of my yoga practice and my meditation. I really had to test the power of my mind. And I learned a lot from that experience.
There we go. So, Green, work on your yoga, and we're
Yeah.
250 more people to Patreon. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. End of story. But, anyways, with
Maybe
this,
if Humberly's there to help me, that's what she can help me
maybe there we
breathe.
go.
Breathe.
And breathe.
Yeah.
Okay, for that, we need 500 more people on Patreon. It's gonna happen. Patreon.com/geekcard. But on this, not only did you have the whole, the makeup for this, but which also, decreased your neck mobility. You couldn't move your neck. But this is also like you got to do some stunts.
I
You got to do
did.
some stunt work. Now think about getting to do more things, more movies and TV shows where you can do stunts where
Yeah.
you can move your neck. That's got to be something exciting to
I
think
know.
about.
And it's wild because obviously when we were doing the rehearsals, I wasn't in hair and makeup. So I was like, I got this. This is
Right.
amazing. And then the stunt team was like, you're made for this. You're so good. Insert heels, tight dress, neck mobility down to like half, maybe less, like 30%.
Yeah, everything's got to cover the
Acting,
rat tail.
it was
So
just everything. It was definitely, it was a moment. But I did it. I thought, I was very proud. Lots of bruises, I have a video actually of my makeup artist covering up all my bruises behind my knees. So many stories, it's like the things you
Yeah.
don't see. And you spend so long with a character and filming so many things, and sometimes things get cut out as they do in any film. And then you see it and you're like, oh my God, okay, well, that was like 10 seconds of my life, even though it took like weeks and prep
Right.
and effort. And it's something that people don't often think about. It looks great. And then suddenly it's like 30 to a minute of your life of a fight scene. And there's so much effort that goes into that, and so many times that you have to do it. Um, I have to like break a bottle against someone's face that has to break. And so many times it wouldn't break. So I had to start over. And I'm just like, guys, I swear I'm hitting him hard. It was just like, it wouldn't break. Just stuff like that, that like you just don't see. And then suddenly, boom, it's done and you're out. And it's like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Somebody should have taken that sugar glass bottled acting class. It should have known what it was
Right.
doing.
I'm like, I think they need to train you into, because it's just sugar. And I'm like, how many
Yeah.
bottles do you have? How many can I break? Like, we gotta get it. We only have 3 bottles, it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, and as you described, right? Like that situation, like with stunts and everything like that, because of how dangerous they can be for all people involved, including sometimes camera people too, right? It all depends on how it's done, and like you said, it could be a 5, 10, 20 second clip in the finished product, but you
Yeah.
spend days,
Hours,
days,
sometimes
weeks,
days.
like,
Yeah.
and
Like,
you
it's
put all
wild.
that effort in, and as you said, like, seeing that, but at the same time, I guess you're looking at it and going like, it was totally worth it because that looks amazing.
Yeah. Even if it's something that's like a 5-second thing, you're just like, wow. But you know what? To make it look that good, it required hours. It required so much effort and preparation. That's just kind of the world we live in. I mean, this industry is so much like that. You see a 1 hour episode that took weeks to make, it's fascinating.
Yeah, and another first with this film is that you got to have your first ever red carpet premiere in New York, your first billboard in Times Square. Like I was watching your Instagram stories, I'm like, oh my God, she's living the life. I could just see the happiness on your face of having this experience. What was
Well,
it like to go to New
see it right
York and
now.
basically,
Look at
yeah,
her. She's
exactly,
I'm like, I'm
exactly.
living it right now as I think of it. Being an actor, you always dream of seeing yourself and your name in big lights and bright lights, or a poster, whatever it is. And I'm like, I'm bald on Times Square, you guys. Did not expect that, that's for sure. I didn't know it was going to be all of us. I thought it was just going to be the Section 31 Michelle poster that we've seen. I was pleasantly surprised when the first glimpse I got from it, because I was walking right up to it and I lost my mind. I was like, oh my God, it's all of us. We're all in it. Like, I'm right in the middle. I'm the eye. Like, oh, it was so surreal. I took so many photos. And that video, I wasn't even taking content to post, but when I took it, it was so in the moment. I wasn't even right where I wanted to be, right in front of it. I was just a moment of so much joy and pride. And like my little kid came out. It was like little Humberly being so proud of herself. And it was pure joy. And even it was 10 seconds of this moment. And I was like, that's what it's going to be. It's just going to be me screaming at my followers, like, oh my God. Because I feel like that's what it feels like on the inside all the time. There were people around me who were like looking at me and they were like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, don't worry, you guys. I'm just on Times Square.
that's me. That's
Very,
me.
very, it's me. And they'll be like, no, it's not. I'm like, I know I'm bald and I'm blowing a bubble and it's fine. Yeah, it was one of the best weeks of my career because so many firsts. I mean, doing that red carpet, being reunited with my castmates who we all love each other and adore each other. Like, it's so special to be a part of a project where everybody's so supportive. And I still have like besties from this. Like, I really grew close to so many of them, and to get to like look good and do the glam and watch the movie together, like, that's so special. It's so special. We missed Sam Richardson, of course. He was like our missing piece. We sent him videos. He had major FOMO. But maybe there'll be more. So
Maybe.
yeah.
Well, honestly, like looking at it right now, like you've got Star Trek, you've got Star Wars, right? Like you've done a comic book property in Jupiter's Legacy. Like
I
you need
know.
you need to
Yeah.
get like a Marvel movie in there
What's
or
next?
something.
Well,
I
that's what I
almost
was saying last
Marvel,
time. You
which is
need to lock
wild.
down
I
Marvel.
know.
Yeah.
It's coming. And I right now I'm on like a fitness journey because I do want to get really strong so that when I get to do stunts or future projects, I'm just kind of claiming that a lot more like action or like superhero or supervillain comes into my life and just be ready for it. That would be really cool because, I'll never be as agile and as strong as young as this. So like use me.
There you
Yeah.
go. There
Well,
you
I
go.
and I like that you're open to the villains. Some people just want to be the superhero, but the villains is
Villains
where
are
it's at.
cool. I think I always tend to fall into that. I mean, K-Vest could be labeled a villain.
Mhm.
In Jupiter's Legacy, we were also kind of like the villains. Section 31, we're kind of like the bad guys
Yeah.
too. Like, I don't know. Maybe I have a bit of like the dark side.
You have an anti-hero type thing
It's
going
like an
on. Definitely.
anti-hero hero's journey.
Yeah, there you go.
They get mislabeled, but I'm like, they're so relatable. We all have a dark side.
Yeah, that was actually supposed to be Joseph Campbell's sequel, The Anti-Hero's Journey.
Oh,
After the hero's journey, he
cool.
was going to do the anti-hero's junior. It was going to be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh my God. But yeah, like overall this past year since we talked to you, it always seems like, you manifest great stuff and great stuff have been happening. You got to go to San Diego Comic-Con this year, which was, I remember last year because the year before things didn't work out, the actor
Yeah.
strike. This year
I
it
know.
finally happened and
It
you
was
got to
meant.
go there for two properties, not just one.
See, that's what it was meant to be. The fact that I got to be there for Star Trek the next half, I mean, you can't make this up, man. Like it felt unreal. And again, to be there with my cast, both like casts, and I loved San Diego. I fell in love with the place, the weather, the palm trees, everything. I got to have my team out there, and San Diego is wild. It's so much energy. It was just fascinating and like very rewarding to see the fandom and realize that Comic-Con really is a place for everybody. And there's no discrimination. There's really a place for all of us to thrive and be nerdy and love what you love, and everybody loves each other for it. I just wish the world was Comic-Con.
I
Trust us,
think
a
all
lot
the
of us
major
do.
companies agree. I think all the
Yeah.
big companies wish everything was Comic-Con.
Like, oh, everyone's so helpful and so like just generous and loving. I had a great time.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. But then, after that was done, just a short month and a half later, you found yourself in Wilmington shooting The Waterfront, a new series that's coming out. You shot in Wilmington, North Carolina. Maria Bello, Melissa Benoist, like this is an all-star cast.
All-star. Daniel Campbell, Rafael Silva, we got Holt McCallany. I mean, I'm surrounded by excellence and I'm so grateful. Also, it's created by the Kevin Williamson.
There you go.
Who, like I'm such a horror fan. Obviously, I know what you did last summer. It was all shot there. Scream, all the Scream. Like he's done so much. Dawson's Creek was shot
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Um,
As soon as I saw North Carolina, I was like, okay, this is probably a Williamson thing. It's
totally. I'm
got a
like,
Dawson feel
creative.
to
Like,
it. Yeah.
oh, and Wilmington is phenomenal. They call it Wilmywood. It's one of the best places to film and live. And I just saw an article that came out that Wilmington is on that list of best places to film and to live in because, oh my gosh, it's the peace. You get to be on set and it might be long days and it's exhausting, but then you have the peace. I lived on the beach and it was just stunning. I'm excited to go back. I have high hopes that this show will be a hit and we'll be back for like 3-4 seasons. That's what I'm manifesting, and I'm very powerful when it comes to that.
Yes. You don't have to
I
tell me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have waited for a project like this because in this industry, you really have to curate the projects that you do and what you say yes to and what you tie yourself to. Being a series regular is a big commitment because a lot of the time those contracts are like 6 years long, and that's what I signed. It's 6 years of committing to something that you see as a long-term job and family, the team, like so many pieces have to come together. And I've actually said no to many series regulars, and I think it was the right one to say yes to. It was just so aligned in every single like area, every box. My team and I have talked about this, and this was a no-brainer, and it came at the perfect time. And I get to work in the States, you know, I'm SAG now, like that's exciting. I have my social security number. Like it's what I've been building towards. And I'm really grateful that I bet on myself. And I have such an incredible team that has guided me through what is meant for me. And it did not pass me. So I'm very excited for it.
That's awesome. Yeah, you know, I got like we've always talked about it, you know, and I last time I got a little too effusive, but you know, we're happy that you are being so successful, right? And I got to imagine that like when you talk to your friends and family, when they you know, when they hear that like because you obviously can't talk about every single thing you get for you know, especially in some of these big properties like Star Wars and stuff, there's NDAs and whatnot. But when you can talk about it, like, and you can kind of like show that enthusiasm, like you showed in the middle of Times Square, right? Like it's, I got to imagine your friends and family at that point are just like over the moon happy for you with how things have been going for you.
Totally. And I think, you know, being in Toronto and being like an immigrant here and starting my career from here rather than having gone to the States like right away, it's such a different journey as well. There's a wealth of talent here in Toronto. And I've realized that, you know, this is my 10th year living here, my 10th year in my professional career. Wild what a decade can do. And realizing that I'm known here and I'm someone that people look to for advice or inspiration, whether I've met them or not. They've just heard of my name and that I'm from Toronto and that I'm doing all of these things. And it's just a moment of realizing that like it isn't impossible. It's a very possible career path and that Canada has a lot of talent and a lot of opportunities. I mean, Toronto is one of also, it was another list came out. It was like the
Yeah.
top 10 places to film, and Toronto was actually number one.
Yep. I saw that. I was watching that today and I was like, holy
Well,
crap. No
and
surprise. I thought it might have been Vancouver, but we got
no,
number
number
one.
one. And I know that there's debates over that. I
Oh yeah,
understand
yeah.
the cost of living versus whatever, but when you're an artist, like there is a plethora of opportunity here. And I'm so grateful that this is where I chose to be and be based out of and plant seeds and roots and blossom into the world. But I'll always be a Toronto local like I am right now. And I get to go to and from, and I never had to like jump ship because the grass is always greener. I'm like, I think if you water your grass, it's green where you are. You're gonna grow and you hope to be worldwide as an artist. But you know, where you start from is really important. And I'm just really grateful to be here.
Yeah, exactly. You know, having the roots in Toronto, it's fantastic. And, you know, as a fellow Torontonian, I'm
I
very happy that you do live here.
feel
It's
like
great.
I'm
Good
not biased,
stuff. Yeah, yeah. I'm
but
not biased, but you know, it's
yeah.
it's funny because I've been living in Toronto for 10 years, so that's kind of funny.
Amazing.
But yes,
20.
there
Yeah.
you go.
2015 for me. That was the year everything really.
Yeah, yeah. Crazy. But then yes, to go to Wilmington and shoot and spend all that time in that lovely place, so much so that you got to have your first Christmas in years with your parents. That must have been so exciting.
You know what? I really, really needed that. It was an advice from a really close person to me who was like, I think you should fly your parents out because you're in a place where you can, and why leave right away? And all they want to do is see you. And I was a little nervous because I was like, oh, I haven't seen them in a few years. Like, what if they think it's boring? Or like, what if they don't just want to spend Christmas with just me? Because it was just the three of us. And, you know, I decided to let them know that this is what I was considering. And instantly my dad and mom were like, absolutely. We just want to be with you. We want to be together. Um, it's just like such a blessing to have the means to fly my parents out. They live in Saudi Arabia. It's really hard for them to get anywhere, let alone Wilmington, North Carolina, where like to even go there from here, you have to take two flights. There's no direct flight from anywhere. It is truly such a small town, but having them in my life in this big way, we reconnected. I've never had one-on-one time with just my parents. I've never had the heart-to-hearts that I did as an adult because, you know, we're immigrants and we kind of grew apart very early on. I had to move away and they moved away and they've been out of the country for almost 10 years because it's just me in Canada. So this was an opportunity for me to remember my roots, remember where I come from, realizing how amazing my parents are, like where I get all of this from, because my parents truly are me. Like it's like copy paste. Both of them have such a hand in my career. since I was little. I mean, hearing stories that I had forgotten or just didn't remember because I was a child, that my parents were like, you were always this bright and this young performer who wanted to entertain and tell stories and generous. And like, we always knew that you were going to be something amazing. And that's why they were so supportive when I decided to go to acting school. They never even doubted it. I was the one that was scared. Like, should I be a doctor? I'm sorry, I'm letting you down. But they were like, nope, you're going to be an actor and you're going to be successful at it. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So they're so proud and they're so grateful, and we will not go 4 years without seeing each other again. Like, that's just too much. I hope we get to see each other every single year, and I hope that they'll move closer. That's kind of the plan, that they'll come to North America. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
really lovely. And they loved
And
Wilmington. Yeah.
you know, also like to have a Christmas in like, because you've done a Hallmark movie before, a few
Yeah.
Hallmark movies, to be in a Hallmark movie type town for Christmas. That's
Literally. No, I'm telling you, you go downtown in Wilmington, it is exactly like a Hallmark Christmas movie. And I'm pretty sure I said that out loud. Every time I walk downtown, I was like, we're just on a set, A cam, B cam, like shoot, cross shoot this. Like, this is a movie. And it's the small town feels, everyone is so generous and loving. And like, it's the South. Like, the hospitality is a thing. And yeah, it was so magical.
Yeah,
man.
that's it's weird to think that, that a place like that would, even in the South, would still, even without the snow, it would still give those vibes off. But you're right, like if a lot of the towns in Northern Ontario that they use to shoot Hallmark films and all across Canada, they all have that kind of that homey small town vibe about them that makes you feel like that, right?
Yeah.
No, I'd be that's I've always lived in a city, so I only pass through those places. So it's
I
just, for me,
know.
it's just like a,
Only
oh
you stay
hey.
for a weekend. No, honestly, I'm a sucker for a small town because I grew up in a small town. Cities for me were very different. I was living on an island for 4 years, the smallest island in the Caribbean, in Aruba. And it just really reminded me that the slowness of life really, like, that impacted me. And I brought that peace with me to Toronto. And I just don't want to rush. I want to slow down, to enjoy, to notice, to be aware. It's very, very necessary. And I think that's why that project came at the exact perfect time, because last year was a lot of change. It was very chaotic. Like, I moved, I kind of like planted seeds in a different place in the city. I was just going through a lot of changes, and I was traveling a lot. I was in New York. It was like tarot. And then, I was doing the press tour for Star Wars and filming and all of this. I had not stopped. When I went to Wilmington, I really felt like I started breathing again. And it was amazing.
That's
Nice.
fantastic. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. So many big things coming out or have already come out that you've been involved in, of
Yeah.
course. Like we said, Star Wars, Star Trek. You got this, of course, The Waterfront. Ginny and George is coming back in
Yeah,
June.
June 5th, baby. We
Yeah,
just released the date today, and the
yeah.
fans are going crazy.
Yeah. And so all that stuff, but it's like one thing that I saw in 2024 that I think you probably shot a couple of years ago. That's a smaller thing that maybe not too many people have checked out. I got to see I Only Kiss in the Dark, the
Oh,
short by
beautiful.
Kelly Pally.
Yeah.
And yeah, you were amazing in that. That was such a good, like, I love watching a two-hander when it's just two people acting the shit out of a scene together. What was it like making that?
Beautiful. I mean, that was just over a weekend. I did it because it was a Canadian Film Center connection. I knew the DP who I'd worked with before on 100 Lies. My best friend was doing my makeup, Kelly Davidson. And so it was just kind of like yeah, why not work on something that is meaningful? I loved the script, which was an in. Anytime I get a chance to tell a queer story and something that was very close to my heart too, very similar to like my feelings around it, and being Latino and coming out and what that means. And I mean, the concept, which is like, it was just so simple, but so relatable and very well shot, I thought. I mean, it's still doing its rounds, it's still going to festivals and winning things, and people are seeing it and they loved it. Now that you reminded me, we did have a premiere at the TIFF Lightbox last year, and I actually went with the team, and I got to see it on the big screen, and that was so special because I was like, oh yeah, it's those little things that they don't they're not obviously like Star Trek and Star Wars and all this stuff, They're still stepping stones of me being able to recognize how much I love doing drama and having a two-hander and how much I was craving that. And that's what I get to do in the waterfront. I get to really go deep into my work in a way that I'd never have done it. It's also a mature role. It's my age. I'm not a teenager on screen. So that reminded me of like my love for a good script and just going deep into the layers of like humanness.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. It's always awesome when you hear somebody happy in their career. Like so many of my friends, I talk to them sometimes and they're like, but hearing you, like it sounds awesome that like not only is everything coming up Humberly, clearly, like you got all these awesome roles, but like that you're super happy about where you are in all of
Yeah.
that. Like you're not like some people take it for granted or they get all down in their feelings about not the role they wanted or whatever, but it sounds like you are just loving everything about where you are right now and the trajectory you're taking.
Agreed. Yeah. And it's because this industry is so much mindset. I mean, the opportunities are one thing, but mindset is everything. Because if it was as easy as just booking the role and doing it, that's just like one tiny, tiny bit of it. No one prepares you for press or interviews and who you are as a person. I mean, these interviews, they serve as a way for people who don't know us to see our journey and to realize like we are real people with dreams who struggle, who have wins and failures, and all of it is a part of it. But the mindset around what you don't get, when you're disappointed, when it's not what you expected, I realized that all of that also led me to the most beautiful wins and yeses. So when I fail, I'm going to put air quotes on that because it's not really a failure. Things that are not meant for me are simply not meant for me. And I have to surrender to that. I know that there's a path for me and I have to trust that it's all coming because I have this dream. I have this passion. I have this motivation to inspire and to tell stories. And that doesn't come from anywhere. I know that there's a version of me in the future who's looking back being like, just wait. There's more and something amazing is about to come, but you're going to have to struggle first. You're going to have to be heartbroken first. You're going to have to lose everything before you gain everything. All of that I always hear. And I'm always like, okay, I'm just going to slow down and take a moment. And I never know what's going to be next. I had no idea what kind of year I was going to have last year, but I knew I had to make changes in different areas of my life, hard decisions that led to incredible outcomes. And so I'm really grateful that the proof is there. So now I'm in a place that I'm like, you just keep going. That's the first 10 years of your career. What's going to be like the next few decades? I mean, there's so much we have yet to experience, and you hope that you get to do it for a long time. But so far, yeah, it's been an incredible 10 years.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, once again, I want to thank you for taking the time for talking with us today because,
Thank you.
always enjoy our chats.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it won't be a whole year again before we talk to you. Maybe we'll talk to you sooner than
Yeah,
later.
maybe we'll talk when the waterfront comes out. You'll be like, what in the world is going on? Please tell us everything.
There you go.
Do you have a date yet or that you can tell us
No, we
about?
don't.
No, okay.
No, I mean, we really just wrapped up like right before the new year ended. And
Oh, okay.
I'm sure we're just about to go, like we're in post-production. So it's like ADR and all of that stuff is going to come up. But, usually it's like a year from when you started. So maybe sometime in the summer, late summer, who knows?
Who knows?
We'll
All right. Well, we will
see.
keep our eyes peeled.
Well, then it's the
The
summer of
moment I hear
Humberly
a
then.
date,
I know. I'm like, there's so much stuff in the summer all the
there you
time.
go. There you go. So as soon as I hear the release date, expect an email. We'll set this up.
I know,
Got it.
instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly. I'll be like, okay, yeah, there we go. It's happening. But
Got
again,
it.
thank you so much. And also, I want to congratulate you, Mr. Green, for keeping the "We're happy for you" to one
I know.
instead of the 7 times you said it in the last interview.
Yeah,
But we
I'll-
are truly happy for
I'll
you.
take the
Humberly.
pat on that one.
We continue to be happy for you. Humberly.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate that so much. The world needs a lot of that. It's being happy for other people because that really
Yeah.
attracts own success and happiness. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
All right. You have
Awesome.
yourself a great day.
Bye, guys.